Hi, I'm Sally Franz, and you are watching a brand new podcast called Good News for a Change, Serenity Style. And I'm here with Doc Robinson. We're going to be talking about what Serenity really is. But first, I want you to know that we're going to be interviewing all our amazing community partners because you don't solve homelessness all by yourself. You just don't. You need lots and lots of friends. So let's get into it. Hello, Doc Robinson.
Hi.
And you are the executive director of Serenity House, Clallam County, yeah?
I am.
Yes. What's the mission here?
Our goal, our mission is to prevent and end homelessness in Clallam County.
That's pretty easy to say.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Now we get close, and then we get another big closing of a factory or something, and then we see it propel again. Is that true?
What's true is that when I first came here, I wanted to know how long homelessness has been a problem, and I found a reference to the Romans talking about it.
Romans.
So
Okay.
homelessness is a ongoing issue. Solutions for homelessness are getting to a point where as people develop a housing crisis, you can respond right away and end the problem before it becomes a lifetime sentence.
Now, just so that we know, are there any misconceptions about what we do here at Serenity that you'd like people to know? Anything about homelessness that you want to clear up?
There's a couple of misconceptions out there. People want to believe that homeless people are homeless because they did something to deserve it, or they like it, or and these are all, it's natural human behavior. First off, we love to blame people we don't know, and we love to forget people we do know. And you know, if it's a friend and they hit on bad times, they just hit on bad times.
Interesting.
But if it's somebody else, then, well, you know, they're probably addicted.
Yeah.
And something like that. So
And the other thing I just want to mention is that I know that there's a misconception, because I work here, that people are bussed in from miles and miles in cities and maybe other states away. What's up with that?
doesn't happen. First off, as they pass through Seattle, they would get off the bus because compared to us, that's the Miami Beach of homelessness.
Yeah, and they got a lot of services.
They have a lot
there.
of services and a lot of things. And the only busing that occurs, we occasionally will buy someone a bus ticket. We did it to Kentucky once because the person had family there. We identified that they actually had a job waiting for them there.
Wow.
So we were sending them home. And that can happen. I'm not familiar with anybody who's come here in that circumstances. But the only buses I know that are coming are in Clallam Transit.
Right, and Clallam goes all the way out to Forks.
Yeah.
That's an important thing. So you might see someone who uses our services or is looking for a home coming from Forks to PA or to Squim, but that's not busing in from somewhere else.
No, we're a 100
that's
mile long.
That's the whole.
We're a 100-mile long county.
There
You're
you
going to
go.
see folks riding the bus.
Okay. So now let's get down to it. Where do you get most of your funding?
Well, we get funding from the state, and that is mostly funding for landlords that we use to pay rents. We have sort of two forms of money there. We have actual rent money that we pay after a client has shown a need and that sort of thing. We help them get settled and get into housing, and then we will do temporarily some help until they're on their feet again. We also have mitigation funds that the state provides, which is when you rent to our clients, if there is damage to the apartment, the state now provides a fund. It's like having insurance to fix the place.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
now
great.
I've got to ask you. There are a lot of people I know that I meet in town because I live in Squim, and they say, "Serenity, what has that got to do with a thrift store? Are you related at all to the Serenity thrift store?"
We sure are.
Tell me about it.
So let me go back to the last question. So we receive a lot of money from the state, and we receive money from two kinds of taxes. Every time you buy and sell real estate, there's a document recording fee, and we receive some of that money in order to do homeless services. We also receive money. There's a sales tax for chemical dependency and mental health. We will receive some of that money as well. But as far as the governments, SWIM provides about $5,000 and Port Angeles $2,000. The county doesn't provide any money from the general fund. Most of our largest other source is either grants, such as the Building Changes Foundation, or it comes from money that we earn at the Serenity Thrift Store.
Okay, so the Serenity Thrift Store is part of Serenity Housing.
Absolutely.
That's what it's for, and it's part of our umbrella.
Absolutely. And that thrift store, when we came in here, was providing about $500,000 gross, and now it's providing about $700,000, and well on track to hit somewhere between $850,000 and $900,000 this year.
Now, just so people know that we did have to close the Port Angeles store because it was breaking even. It was a great store and it had a lot of wonderful product, but the problem is when you don't make money, you don't have income to help the neediest. So we've actually created another store or two right at Serenity Square, which is basically at the corner of 5th and Washington, just off there. So the Serenity Store is a great way if people have merchandise, even used cars now, any merchandise they want, to drop it off at the store and shop there. So that's an amazing thing. So let's go back. You've been touching on the populations we serve. Do you help families?
Of course we do. Right outside the office here, we have 4 family units that can serve up to 8 families at a time for shelter.
Wow.
And then, and that's, shelter is in demand right now in Clallam County because there's not sufficient housing. We have a housing crisis, but what does that mean to? It's the same as the unemployment level. If you have a rate of about 7, you're normal, and if you have a rate that's low, you're overheated. Well, we're way overheated, and we have a rate. Seattle complains about their rate. It's 3.4. Our rate is 1.8.
Okay, what does that mean? 1.8.
It means that every time a case manager goes out to try and find housing, it takes about 3 times longer to find an available house that we can provide somebody who needs housing. It also means that the rents on housing are going up.
Sure, it's a supply and demand. But what I'm hearing is a lot of people may be homeless because there simply aren't any homes.
That's right. There are, and the Housing Authority and everybody else will tell you all the same story. It's basic. The vouchers are given to the folks, but they can't find a house to apply them against.
So tell me one success story. Somebody that came maybe off the street and made it all the way through, because that's our goal.
Well, absolutely. For those of you who shop downtown, you may remember, and especially if it was in the morning, you will remember that there was a woman who used to be found sleeping in the doorways and coming in and looking for coffee, and she was difficult and difficult for our folks, much less the public, and she disappeared. And occasionally people would say, "Where'd she go?" And she's living with us.
Wonderful. And that means not just living. I want people to understand. It doesn't mean we just have them like under a roof. It means a caseworker. It means medical. It means emotional if that's what's needed. She's under your care so that she can go on with her life.
She has to be. She is a very fragile person. By the time that we were able to convince her, it took years to work with her to convince her to come in off the street. She still has not slept in her bed. She sleeps beside her bed because she's used to the hard surface. And it's important when people say people are homeless because they want to be, they're not engaging who the homeless really are. Those folks have been out there a long time. They're broken. And our job is to give them a safe place to be.
Right. And now, if I wanted to volunteer, one of the places I know I could volunteer is at the Serenity Thrift Store.
Absolutely. And always, we need lots of folks there. And it's a vital effort to make things work. But there are lots of volunteer opportunities around here. That you can volunteer if you don't want to go all the way to Swim and you're in the Port Angeles area. You can volunteer right here. Just come into the building at 2203 West 18th.
You wait a second. Let's slow down.
2203
West 18th. That's on your way to the dump. If you guys know PA, it's way before the dump. We're much nicer than that. But for you guys that know the road, past the county fairgrounds, keep on going. 16 turns into 18, and we're on the right. If you see the Head Start Center, the little preschool, we're right in that building.
and we have opportunities here. We have opportunities with kids. We have opportunities with folks. Everybody gets a background check because there are a lot of kids around. We have opportunities working directly with people. We have opportunities where you don't work directly with people, where you may help with the fundraising effort or the grant writing effort.
I got some people right here in a back room stuffing envelopes, so if you're into that, we got that going too. So let me just finish up here. What's your website? How can we find you guys online? Clallam County. It's Serenity House, ClallamCounty.org, right? I'm pretty sure. He doesn't have it memorized. I got it memorized. Clallam County, Serenity House, Clallam County, all one word, .org. And on that page, you can also find a button to donate, which would be awesome. Listen, I want to thank you guys for going with us here. This is our very first podcast for Good News for a Change, Serenity Style. I'm Sally Franz, and we look forward to having you join us. Every week, we're going to highlight another group that helps people go from hopeless to finding a home. So thanks a lot. Bye-bye.